About Sustainable Development Goal number 15, which is Life on Land by Ethan Roberts. So, what is life on land? According to the United Nations, Sustainable Development Goal number 15 is to conserve life on land. The United Nations has defined 12 targets and 14 indicators for SDG number 15, which are used to track whether or not the goals that are set in place are being achieved or not. A few of these goals include conserving and restoring terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems, end deforestation and restore degraded forests, protect biodiversity and natural habitats, etc. And then, how can artificial intelligence help to solve life on land? Artificial intelligence is a powerful tool that can help combat SDG number 15, life on land. Some of the ways that artificial intelligence can help solve some of these issues is by monitoring forests and deforestation, land degradation, detection, smart agriculture, etc. Although different parts of the world may need different help from artificial intelligence, it is important to know that AI can help with a lot of these different issues and will only continue to advance to help with even more issues surrounding problems with Sustainable Development Goal number 15. Okay, and then the first graph I'm going to be talking about here is the share of land covered by forest as of 2020. And this graph is showing the forest area, including land with natural or planted groups of trees, at least 5 meters tall, excluding those in agricultural systems. So I had 5 countries I was looking at here. The first being the United States. And the United States is covered by 33.9% of forest area. And the second one I looked at was Canada, which had 38.7% of forest area. And then over here, Finland had 73.7% of forest area being covered. Suriname down here, the dark green, had 97.4% of their country being surrounded by forest. And then over here, where it's very white and there's not a lot of forest area, I wanted to focus on Egypt, which has less than 0.1% of their country being covered by forest area, which was pretty surprising to me. And then secondly, the second graph I wanted to show was the share of land area that is protected as of 2022. And this is the terrestrial protected areas, or the areas of at least 1,000 hectares that are designated by national authorities in order to preserve their ecosystem services and cultural values. And focusing on the same 5 countries, because I wanted to see what the share of forest area was for these countries, and then I also wanted to compare that to what part of that is actually being protected. So for the USA, it is only 13.02%, whereas the US has 33.9% of their land covered by these forest areas. Canada's is only 12.71% that's protected. Finland over here only has 13.4% protected. And the one that stood out to me on this one was Suriname, because they had 97.4% of their country that had a forest area, and only 14.52% is actually protected. And I found that rather surprising. And the other one that I found a little surprising was that Egypt, even though only less than 0.1% of their land is covered by forests, 13.14% of those areas are protected. And I just thought it was interesting that Suriname had so much land covered by forests, but not that much protected. And Egypt didn't have that much forest area at all, but they had a lot of it protected. And then finally, I wanted to go into the annual change in forest area as of 2020. And The description for this graph is the annual net change in forested area as a percentage of total forest area. And negative values are indicating a net loss of forest, and positive values indicating net gain. So continuing on with the same pattern, USA had a gain of 0.04% of forested area that got added in. Canada had a minus 0.01% of a change, so not too much. They lost a little bit of forest. Finland had a 0.07% gain in forest area, so there's one up. Suriname had a minus 0.07 loss in their forest area. And finally, Egypt had a minus 3.71% of forest lost in their country. And this graph put the second graph into a little more perspective for me when I saw this graph after the second one, because it makes sense why Egypt would want to conserve the little forest that they do have, especially if they're still continuously losing it over the years. So it makes sense that they would want to conserve this land that's forested to make sure that they don't lose all of it completely. And so yeah, this graph made the second graph for me make more sense, and it made my surprise from the second graph not as surprising, because it just put it into perspective more. And then I wanted to talk about some AI solutions to help solve life on land. Firstly, I have that artificial intelligence powered fire risk models, and these can be used to track and prevent forest fires from spreading or occurring, which could be a really big help in terms of deforestation and losing these forested areas, because as most of y'all know, fires are a very big reason that a lot of these forests aren't as prominent anymore. So having these fire risk models could really help out in terms of conserving this life on land and this forestry. And then nextly, I have acoustic monitoring, and acoustic monitoring can be used by AI to detect endangered species sounds and track gunshot sounds. And this could be very important to help any endangered species, to make sure that we're keeping them in a safe environment and making sure that their habitat is safe. And also to make sure that people are being respectful and not hunting or coming after these animals that are already maybe potentially endangered or not supposed to be hunted. And then finally, precision agriculture. AI tools can help farmers use just the right amount of water and fertilizer and plant smart crop rotations, and this keeps the soil healthy and prevents the land from being harmed, which is obviously another very important thing to helping combat Sustainable Development Goal number 15. All right, and there's my works cited page, and thank you guys very much for watching.